welcome to Rapid Reviews Radio Podcast, episode 213. That's 213, our lucky number, hopefully. I am your co-host, Kiley, Wilde, and I'm joined by my ever-present co-host, Pete Beckett.
It might be unlucky to some, 213, but hello, everyone.
Well, fingers crossed, everything crossed, that this is a lucky show for us. We're gonna get lucky. Let's get lucky.
Where then dice at?
Yeah.
I want to get on the craps tables.
21's my game, and nope, not gonna make that joke. Okay. Cause that me? Nope. I'm gonna be a good girl.
No, I'm not gonna go there either.
I know.
It's quite
good.
Yeah.
But you could join all this crazy nonsensical fun over in www.twitch.tv/rapreviews.
You nearly got it wrong.
We would love. What?
You nearly got it wrong.
I know. I was trying to pretend like it was intentional. It wasn't intentional. But we would love to see your shiny, happy face here.
I'm not sure how that works. We can't see them. They can see us.
I can just feel them from the chat.
The energy.
That sounded a bit more pervy than I meant. Yeah, I meant the energy. I didn't mean like I could actually feel them up.
Are we now gonna call this I can feel the chat?
Yes.
Cool. It's done so far until something better comes up.
Feel good. Anyway, yeah, so every week I like to start with asking guests if we have them. And we don't have guests this week. You know what, though? We've got a lot of guests coming up over the next few weeks.
We actually do. I need to talk to you about that after the show to discuss another step to it.
Okay, I also have another suggestion for another guest. But that's business stuff. We'll deal with that behind.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. That's fine.
But I do like to ask to get the ball rolling and just get the good vibes flowing.
You missed an opportunity to get the world rotating like a catenary rolling up.
Yes, that. Just pretend I said that. Pete, how's your week been? What you been playing?
Exhausting. Moving on.
Playing exhausting.
No, I'm joking. No, so it's been a very busy week this week. Work and all that. It's quietened down a lot in work side of things, thank goodness, because it's been crazy the last few weeks.
Right.
Been out for the last few days just doing other stuff like, admin life stuff. But today I went out and did some go-karting, which was kind of cool, so I might be a little low energy because my adrenaline's completely shot.
Yeah.
Not the greatest thing to do in slippery conditions with go-kart tyres that got no traction on them whatsoever.
Oh dear.
I thought I might die at one point.
Well, that's part of the fun.
Yes, so you could have easily explained if there was no show tonight because I was either 1, in the hospital, or 2, dead.
There you go. Show must go on, Pete.
I know, and it did.
Hotel room, your hospital bed.
Yeah, and I rushed home to make sure that I could get back to do this. So, so feeling very tired and drained, but had a really good day. It was good fun. But let's talk about games, because I have played not a lot. So I'll talk briefly about the another ongoing game that I keep playing. Street Fighter 6. Got another half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour of playing more Terry.
Right.
I do really like Terry Bogard. I think I'm going to have to drop him though, because I'm really bad with him. Really bad. The problem that I find is that it's quite difficult. He's very, very difficult to use because obviously the chaining of moves.
Right, yeah.
But you have to wait until the fact that you actually connect. You can't wait until you connect with a move to then input the move. You have to preempt it. So if you miss or it's blocked, you're going to throw out another random move that's going to get blocked and you get punished pretty badly for it. And I've now figured out what his weakness is.
Right, okay.
So he's got not a bad defense. He's got a really good offense game. Or his health is low, really low. So, there were a couple of moments where I was playing online and you eat a couple of combos, that's it. You're basically done.
Right.
You're really done. And, whilst he has a get off me EX move with his rising tackle, it is Yeah, it's not the best because it's only the EX or the overdrive version, what they call EXs now, that actually has the get off me pressure, like removing of pressure.
Ah, right.
So
okay.
if you're in the burnout stage, or if you're low on health, you're low on overdrive gauge, because you have to use it to block. You're gonna either go into burnout or you're gonna eat another combo, and it could ruin you in that sense. So yeah, he's tough to use. So I'm considering dropping him and going back to Kimberly, but I might stick with him. I might, because character loyalties and all that kind of is annoying. I really like the Fatal Fury games and King of Fighters,
I know
but
you do.
and I like Terry as a character, but my god, is he hard to use in this game.
Oh goodness.
I think once you get the hang of his combo game, he could end up being quite, I wouldn't say dominant, I would say he'd be a strong mid-tier character. Maybe top middle, but nothing more than that.
Right.
Okay, so there is one main game that I've been playing this week, and I've just seen that, thank you. So the main game that I played, and this is mostly because this has been an ongoing discussion with people at work for about 2 years now. The sessions stopped for a long time, and I finally got in on one of them. I've returned to an old classic, an old favourite, let's say.
Okay.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Oh goodness.
So I've joined some sessions and played it online with a few people at work, and some of those people are really good. They're really good. Whilst it gave me a good chance to try out a lot of the tracks that I hadn't actually played since they've been added. So the entire wave of the booster packs, I've barely played them apart from just doing a couple of time trials on them.
Right.
Some of them were really good. Some of the ones that I did play were really enjoyable, like N64 Calamari Desert. So how it was before, you used to just race around, the desert track once, in 3 laps. They've actually sectioned it off now, so it's now kind of like other tracks like N64 Rainbow Road, given it a redesign and made it in sectors. Rather than actually going around the outside, there is one section where you go through the mountain and actually onto the train track.
That's insane.
It is very insane, and I actually really like the redesign of the course, to be fair. It's a very nice change to it, and I think a lot of the courses that seem to have gotten changed are the N64 ones, because N64 Rainbow Road is also very similar, which I think it's probably because the lengths of the tracks, they've had to sort of change them a little bit. But I do really like them. Some of the Mario Kart Tour tracks I wasn't fond of, though. I see it. I can't do anything about it, so...
Oh no! Oh no!
So yeah, I'm just not drawing attention to it. Let's move.
Okay.
Anyway, so... Mario Kart Tour tracks wasn't as fond of. They're okay, but they're not great. However, it was really fun to pick it up and play it again. I think the Switch Online seems to get a lot of flack for what it does wrong, but actually Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is one of the very few games that has a very stable netcode for a Nintendo game, and I think it's pretty decent. So I'll give it all due respect. Mind you, we're probably all quite local. We all kind of play in a similar sort of area, so the latency on it might not be that bad. So, but I have to say I really enjoyed coming back to playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe after a long time of not playing. I think it's been about 2 years, maybe 3 years that I haven't played it. So, a lot of fun, and it's now led to the Switch now being in the office, because I think I'm going to be playing it a little bit more. So it seems like Monday, after the discussions I had with the guys today that I was with, seems to be Monday might be our night to start Mario Karting. So expect further updates in the future. So that's all I've been playing this week. Kylie, Let's talk Twitch, your streams, and what you've been playing this month specifically.
Well, obviously, it's spooky holiday time, Spooktober. Of course, over on my channel, we're more kooky than spooky. So we started with... We continued... I didn't talk about this last week. It got left out because I'm a space cadet. But we did...
You played 3D Pinball Space Cadet?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey.
We played Imposter Factory, which I have to say the first half was very like it looks like a SNES game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Stardew Valley, but a little bit upscale, just a little bit.
Sure.
So beautiful game. Quirky as all, just quirky AF. So we thought, I checked with the chat. I was like, you know what? Hey, we'll just. It's got murder in it. It's got blood. It's got knives. We'll just do it again next week. We'll continue it on. Ended up continuing it on, and it was just an hour and a half of storytelling and lore building, and oh my gosh, I wanted to stab my brain. So
I thought you really liked lore building.
I think if I was probably on my own,
yeah,
I might like it.
Oh, okay.
But having, chat sit there and, have to go through it. It's just me reading text on a screen.
I see, yeah. It might be a bit much in front of an audience, fair enough.
Yeah. Then we did a little RE, Resident Evil.
Don't go in that door.
Yes, and right off the bat, you could tell it's just that voice acting.
You played the original then, yeah?
Well, the one that they redid in the early 2000s that, kind of...
Hang on, wait. No, they redid the voice acting for that one. If you're talking about the GameCube, PlayStation, GameCube, PS2,
I think
all that.
I think it's the PS2 one, yeah.
No, they actually redid that because that's actually a remake.
Oh, it's bad. It's still bad.
It's still bad,
it might
yeah.
be intentionally bad.
No, they might have kept it intentionally bad, but some of the lines actually did get changed, like the infamous Jill Sandwich line did get changed.
Yeah, that wasn't in there, and that's not Chris's blood. We haven't got to that yet either.
What is that? Is that blood?
That's pretty much the level of it. But I just hate take controls, and I hate the angle. Because, like my poor chat, I had to tell them, I don't have great depth perception anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then having to navigate, weird Dutch angles and, everything like that. So that got a bit frustrating. But
I mean, Dutch angles are always a bit awkward. Dutch ovens are worse, but
Oh, gosh. But we got through it. Probably won't be dipping back into that. It's just, I think we've moved too forward, It's a little dated.
So you're saying what you had to do to move forward is you might have needed to rotate 90 degrees?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Tank control jokes. Everyone like these? Enjoying these? No.
You enjoying this? I have to look up what the other...
The other game, I believe, if I checked my streams earlier, is Layers of Fear.
Yes, which I have talked about on this very show many times.
Before you go on to Layers of Fear, would it be worth recommending, rather than going back to RE1, that you go and play RE2, that you play RE2 Remake?
That's what we're playing next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I am looking forward to that because I know that's a fun one.
Is RE4 Remake on the agenda?
Yes, it is, actually. I think the only one I'm going to skip is 5 and 6.
No, you've got to play 5 and 6. No, you've got to play 5 at least.
Maybe we'll play 5, but we'll look at it.
If you want to play 5, let me know because I'd gladly play that co-op with you because that would be freaking hilarious.
Maybe we'll do that. We'll look into that.
Yeah.
But I played Layers of Fear. As I said, there's 2 games that I talk about often on here. Well, there's 3 games, and these 3 games are going to come up. Obviously, Layers of Fear, the original, not the sequel that is just awful. We're going to pretend it doesn't exist. Outlast 2,
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant game. And Silent Hill Shattered Memories.
Nice.
Another. Now, all three of those have something very much in common. They're all psychological horrors, and they all have the kind of... They're very similar in their storyline and their narrative. So Layers of Fear, I still absolutely am crazy about that game. It's probably one of the few games where the jump scare actually gets me. I don't know if chat noticed that, but it's because the jump scares are not... they're not telegraphed. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, the problem with a horror movie is you can often feel that they're trying to bait you into a jump scare.
Exactly.
So you know one's coming. This one just sort of just comes out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, in the most literal sense, but it fits with the narrative and it fits with the gameplay style. It's just there is no telegraphing it, and it can change because where you choose to go in this giant house, the decisions you make, all that, it changes everything. Absolutely do still adore that game. Probably finish it offline just because I like it.
Yeah.
And then I think that, and then my beloved Hitman.
Oh yes, I forgot about Hitman. I was putting together the list earlier and I didn't see that on there.
I have to say and I would say it again at the end of the show, probably when we're done recording, a big thank you to all of you wonderful, beautiful, fabulous YouTubers and our wonderful, fabulous Twitch audience as well.
Yeah.
But people love my Hitman gags. I don't know why, but I'm gonna keep making them just for you. As long as you keep liking them and subscribing, I'm gonna keep making them. So I had a very good week. I know I started talking about games before I talked about the week. The week itself was amazing. I picked up 20 subscribers this week. And I know you're not supposed to concentrate on numbers. I totally get that, but I'm just starting out, so numbers are a big deal to me right now.
Yeah.
As I get a little bit more established, they'll mean less. But right now, they mean a lot. And people, they just do be loving my Hitman stuff. So, Hitman's probably going to show up very commonly on Saturdays from here on out. But that's it for me. I'm going to pour me another glass of Prosecco and invite us to redeem it.
So I may have sent this across to you. Don't ignore your Discord for a moment because obviously
I normally do.
I'm just but it's a link to something I think might come in very handy for your spooky streams.
Ooh, okay.
Psychological thriller horror game that came out in the Xbox 360 era.
Ooh,
but it's also on PC. In fact, it was a launch game for the 360.
Oh, right.
Condemned: Criminal Origins.
Oh, Condemned. I haven't played that in years.
Currently $2.29 on PC.
All right, I probably will do that. Now, that's going to come with some strict warnings. But yes, that was actually banned, I believe, banned in Ireland.
I'm not really very surprised by that, but I had a very visceral experience of that game. I'm actually going to buy this as well because I want to play it again. I remember with a friend at the time playing that game in the dead of night, and he had a surround sound system on as well, and my god, that game scared the bejesus out of me. It was like one of the most viscerally creepy experiences I've ever had.
I've watched Call Me Kevin,
bingo.
Get those old dusty bingo cards out. But I haven't watched Call Me Kevin play it, I think 2 times, and it was like, ooh. Yeah, it's pretty graphic.
I think the good thing about it is obviously because the hits come from multiple directions. When you've got a sound system like that, especially with speakers that sat right behind your head and you get hit, it is freaky.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrid.
Well, I'll definitely have to look into that because I did forget about that game.
I know, that's why I thought I'd just give you a recommendation.
Yes. Much appreciated.
Even if it's a wait till next year.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, Silent Hill 2 remake comes out in 2 days as well.
Oh, does it? Okay,
yes.
Well, I'll slide something out. That's what she said. I'll slide something out and put it in. So I think that kind of does it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Maybe. I guess we can now transition, segue. I didn't have a witty thing to say, and I wished I would have. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I don't have any witty one-liners.
We will go to the next layer and not be afraid.
That was really shocking. I wish you would have just said, I have nothing, let's move on.
I have nothing. Let's move on.
Good. Let's
to the
move
next
on.
Layer.
Oh, for God's sake. You ruined it. It's fine.
Always do.
Right, so we're covering news again this week. So, yeah. There's not been a lot actually major happening, so there's been a couple of big news stories, so we'll leave those towards last. But let's talk about some actual good news within the video game industry, specifically those who might work in the industry.
Ah, yes.
So, yes, because it was announced a few days ago, on October 4th specifically. So sources for this episode are VGC. They will be in the links provided if you're listening to us, or if you're watching live, it'll be after the fact. So, From Software. Well known, well established for obviously doing Elden Ring and the Souls-like games. Obviously they are a company thriving and very successful at present because they've announced that they're increasing its employees' average salary by 12%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a rare win for employees of video game companies. So the Japanese developer has stated that in April 2025, so yeah, okay, they've got a little bit of time to wait, but for the next fiscal year, let's say, employees will get an average basic salary increase of around 11.8%. So yeah, it's rounded up to 12%, let's say. So their starting monthly salary for new graduates will also be increased from 260,000 yen, which is roughly about $1,700, to 300,000 yen, which is it's just over $2,000, an increase of just over 15%.
That's crazy. Good for them.
So let's read the company's statement on this one, and I'll just read it verbatim, shall I? So, at From Software, we strive to make games that convey emotion, create value, and inspire joy. To this end, we are working towards stable income and a rewarding work environment where our employees can apply themselves to development. The increase in base and starting salaries is one implementation of this policy. We will continue to develop games with the hopes of inspiring players and creating something of value.
Ooh.
Good. The rest of this article is basically just talking about how well Elden Ring has done. So it sold 25 million copies at the time of the DLC coming out, and the DLC has gone on to sell on 5 million copies in its first week.
Wow!
So, yeah, pretty good, let's say.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yet
that's
it
cool.
still won't stop people from saying, when's Bloodborne remastered?
I know.
You can make a great game that people resonate with, and it still won't make them happy.
No, exactly.
Still won't.
Exactly.
It's fine. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a Bloodborne remastered does come at some point, but...
Oh, I'm sure,
Does it not show the state of the industry that someone's getting really annoyed that you're not remastering a game from a PS4 generation?
Oof. I have thoughts and feels about that. But we've talked about that before.
Yes,
though.
I think Naughty Dog would like to have a word and say
exactly.
we already did that. I'm pretty sure Guerrilla also want to have a word with you, say we're just doing it now.
Yes.
We talked about that last week. Terrible decision. So, right. So let's talk about some more news, of course.
Okay.
And this one, I'm going to say, came out as a bit of a surprise, actually.
Right, okay.
Because let's talk Stalker 2.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Stalker 2, the game that has notoriously been delayed several times over because of real-world issues.
I was going to say, they actually have a good reason.
So, this came as a bit of a shock because Stalker 2 developer GSC Game World has released a 90-minute documentary about completing the game during the invasion.
Wow.
Yes. So, Ukrainian studios were originally set to release the game in late 2022, but when Russia invaded Ukraine in February, development was put on hold. The invasion led to some developers relocating to a new office in the Czech Republic, but the combination of this upheaval and Russia's continuing attack meant that development suffered numerous delays. However, the game is due to be released November 20th, and the documentary, which was released, well, today at the time of the writing of the article, which was the 3rd of October, which is called War Game, The Making of Stalker 2,
right,
is actually free to watch on YouTube.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, that makes sense.
So I haven't actually watched this yet because I didn't actually know about this until this morning when I was putting the news articles together.
Yeah.
But we can obviously go into some statements that were said about it. So the documentary was created in partnership with Xbox and directed by Andrew Steven, who originally who's previously directed the 4-hour Xbox documentary Power On. So he stated, "This film isn't just about the hardest game development of all time. It's about resilience and the unyielding human spirit in the face of unimaginable challenge. It's about the importance of creation in a time of destruction, the defiant act of making something meaningful in the face of adversity."
Oh.
So
I kind of like that.
Yeah. There were some other statements. I'm not going to say what they are because they'll probably end up coming out in the documentary anyway, so this is more of a thing to go, by the way, there's a documentary out about this game, please go and watch it, support the developers, because I know several people are really excited about Stalker 2, yourself included, so it might be interesting. You might be able to get a look at the game and its development and how, obviously, whilst we have been annoyed that it's been delayed, understandably so, it's been delayed, and let's see why. So yeah,
absolutely.
War Game. I will link it in the description and post a link on YouTube as well, or post a link on Twitch so that we can obviously watch it in due course. So I'm just doing that now for the chat who are there now. So there you go. So yeah, please go and give that a check out, give it a like and all that, and make sure that you know that the developers are, see that you've seen it. Good. Anyway, so we're sort of blitzing through the news stories pretty quickly today, but
that's okay.
Some of these are going to require a bit more discussion, and I think this one might lead to a bit more discussion.
Right.
Because,
okay.
I'm going to bring up a name for you. Someone who is associated with the video games industry, maybe not for a very long while.
Right, okay.
Do you happen to remember Ken Kutaragi?
I don't, actually, but it seems like I remember you saying his name.
Ken Kutaragi is the ex-president of SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Yes. Was he the one that had the charges brought up against him?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so he's recently been speaking about a few things.
Right, okay.
So shall we go into what's been discussed?
Yeah.
So, former president and the man often referred to as the father of PlayStation, Ken Kutaragi, has claimed that everyone at Sony thought the PlayStation would fail.
Oh.
So he was speaking at Tokyo Game Show, where he stated he spoke about his ambition to enter the gaming hardware space in the mid-90s. So, quote, "We wanted to share the passion. We wanted to hear their expectations and what they didn't expect, so we wanted to hear from them. So we visited dozens of companies, if not hundreds. We visited a lot of game makers. It was a great memory. They were not interested."
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So he carries on. "They just said, don't do it. There were multiple companies and none of them were successful. You are going to fail. That's what they told us."
Holy crap, though.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So Ken Kutaragi hasn't actually been associated with Sony since he left in 2007, and the article Him standing there proudly holding that overpowered piece of crap known as the PS3. That overpriced piece of crap, I mean. But
yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I knew what you meant though.
So now we're talking about Sony and Ken Kutaragi. So,
yeah. See, I think I got him mixed up with the Sonic guy.
Oh, you mean Yuji Naka?
Yeah, insider trading or whatever.
Yes, Mr. Insiding Trading. I mean, someone had to pay for Balan Wonderworld, didn't they?
Yes.
So yeah, it's I'm honestly quite surprised that Sony and everyone thought that the PlayStation was going to fail.
Right.
I'm really surprised by that.
I'm very surprised by that. Like, really.
I mean,
it
was a gamble. It really was. You know, you come off the back of a potential partnership with Nintendo, who then decides to cut it short and go, sorry, we're going to go with Philips, and that didn't end well. They could have very easily have gone, all right, other than us going it alone, why don't we go partner with Sega? And look at how badly that could have ended.
This is very true.
So, very interesting line. I mean, since the advent of the PlayStation era, I think there's only been one console that actually, well, apart from handhelds, let's not include the handhelds, in the home console section, except for the PS5. Out of the first 4 lines of PlayStation, only one of them didn't actually make 100 million units, which was the PS3. But still came close to about 80 odd million.
Wow.
So, and the PS2, for now, is still the most successful console of all time.
Yeah.
Until Nintendo's next registered numbers. We don't actually know, but I suspect that Nintendo could very much overtake them if they have strong holiday sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from a business perspective, I want to know your opinion. If you were sat at Sony headquarters at the time, and someone like Ken Kutaragi comes along to you and shows you this thing, what's your opinion of it? Would you have turned around and gone, I don't see any success in this?
I think back then I would have been hesitant. I would have, because I'm very risk averse in business. That's why I make the money that I do.
It's almost like I asked you for this reason.
Yeah. I would then ask for like group studies and comparison to, how Nintendo does it, their numbers and blah, blah, blah. There would be a lot of data that I would be seeking before I made a final decision. But I will say my first instinct, which would be wrong, my first instinct would be like, oh, this is going to struggle,
Yeah.
Because who wants to use CDs and to play games on? And you know what I mean? There would have been a kind of like, a little bit of a bias of not sure the common man's going to be able to go out and buy this and blah, blah. But by the same token, because I'm risk averse, I always need data. I would get the data and then make my decision, which then would have probably been like, let's go forward. But that is me. I do business quite different, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, not entirely. Smart business people know to do their surveys and group testing before they move forward. But
yeah, it would have been quite difficult, obviously, to judge this one if I was sat in that position. You've got 2 companies there like Nintendo and like Sega, who are sitting there at the top of the pile, like absolutely dominating things, and then you've got SNK sitting there trying to do things like the Neo Geo. You've got the home computer market within Europe that's still somewhat strong, let's say.
Yeah.
It was always going to be a bit of a market that was going to be quite difficult to conquer. Yeah. And I probably would have turned around and said, this is probably a bad idea.
Yeah, because of the atmosphere at the time.
Yeah, I mean, the video game market in America was still quite it was coming up. It was definitely a lot better than it was in the mid-'80s, of course.
Right.
And it started to shed the stigma a little bit of this is just a toy rather than an actual medium.
Yeah.
But I think it was PlayStation, let's be honest, whilst Nintendo were the innovators and, Sega were the ones that were pushing the boundaries at the time, it wasn't until PlayStation came along that people went, maybe it is an art form. And it pains me to say it as a Nintendo fan.
I know, exactly.
But it was only once the PlayStation released that people went, they can be cinematic, they can be artistic, they can be everything that we once imagined that Hollywood movies are and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you have games like Final Fantasy VII, you have Metal Gear Solid, Legacy of Kain, and all that came out on those consoles that went, they have an incredible art style, incredible stories to tell, that people finally sat up and noticed that.
Yes.
So, whilst Sony are very arrogant and very annoying, and PlayStation as such, has these cycles, I still have to respect what Sony have done for the video games industry, as much as it pains me to say it. But I did used to love the PlayStation 2, and it was one of my favourite consoles of all time, so hey, there's a reason why I've got more PS2 games than anything on my shelf.
Yeah, definitely.
I just wish I could play them backwards compatible on that piece of crap over there, though.
Yeah.
Sort it out, Sony. Anyway, speaking of sorting things out, Nintendo, they need to sort their lives out.
Oh dear.
They've been in the news this week for some very bad things. Very, very bad things. You say, it depends on your situation. Depends on how you look at this things. Yeah. I believe that we may have had a discussion about this a couple of months ago.
Yes.
Because emulation has taken another real hit.
Oh, yeah.
So, another popular Switch emulator has been taken down following pressure from Nintendo. Oh. So, this was reported on X by notorious ex-Twitter user Oatmeal Dome. The emulator Ryujinx. This was mentioned in our previous episode when we were talking about the Yuzu emulator.
Yes.
This is an open source emulator promising excellent accuracy and performance, a user-friendly interface and consistent builds. Has been shut down by its lead developer.
Of course. So
a message was posted on their Discord server by the developer, and explained that GDK Chan, who is the lead developer on Ryujinx, was approached by Nintendo and took the emulator down shortly after this, removing all download links and the GitHub repositories hosting the emulator. So the statement was, and I'll read it in full. Yesterday, GDK Chan was contacted by Nintendo and offered an agreement to stop working on the project, remove the organisation, and all related assets he's in control of. While awaiting confirmation on whether he would take this agreement, the organisation has been removed, so I think it's safe to say what the outcome is. Rather than leave you with only panic and speculation, I decided to write this short message to give you some closure. So, this is another one that's taken a hit, unfortunately.
Right.
And it's another situation where emulation, especially on the Nintendo side of things, is hampering preservation, let's say, to some degree.
Yeah.
But whilst I'm not going to say anything that's too outlandish here. I may have slightly updated my stance on where I sit at the moment.
Oh, right,
because I love emulation. I think it's a necessary, let's say, a necessary evil.
Yeah.
The sharing of ROMs is obviously illegal, if they've been obtained in illegitimate ways. I think, annoyingly so, if you own your video games, you should definitely be able to have a way to back them up and play them in a different way, and possibly at a better frame rate, because whilst people have been enjoying things like Echoes of Wisdom, apparently frame rate seems to take a bit of a dip from time to time. Would be nice to play games like Breath of the Wild in 60 frames. Current hardware is not something that really should be emulated at the time until it goes until it's stopped being sold.
Right.
Because of rampant piracy on things that are actively available on store shelves. And we all know that the vast majority of people are going to use emulation to not pay for games.
Yeah, yeah.
Where I have the problem with Nintendo is obviously that things like the Wii, the Wii U, the 3DS have had their market space shut down within the last few years. I don't know why they're coming after people wanting to do homebrews and stuff like that on those systems when their storefronts are actively shut down and you can no longer buy a console in a retail space brand new.
Right.
I don't see what the issue is, but they're still coming after people for doing stuff like that, and that's where I have a real issue. The problem with Nintendo is very, very, very heavy-handed tactics. And whilst I understand that they need to be seen to, protect their copyright, their IP at all costs, because if they don't, then they will state that they're not wanting to hold on to their IP by doing so. They are far too heavy-handed at the best of times. Right.
I do agree with that.
So, this is disappointing because so Dank has put, I have a problem with Nintendo coming after Wii U emulation. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Same with Wii. The problem I have with it is that actually if they released something that allowed you to go and play backwards compatible games without having to pay for them on a third-party market site like Facebook, eBay, at extortionate prices, believe you me, I'd be paying for it right now. Because I want to give Nintendo money to play a back catalogue. But the emulation that you have on the Switch for the back catalogue is notoriously poor at times. Yeah. It's not great. So, but I want to know what you think about this before I start getting into theories about something.
Well, I've never kept it a secret, I'll say, that I have ROMs for all the games I own. Put it that way. I'm a big proponent of emulation. I've shown off my various handhelds on the show, which run on emulation. I do think that Nintendo gets heavy-handed.
Yep.
And I think it's to their detriment. I think once it's such a weird position to take, but I think once a game is, well, like Wii U, take the Wii U.
No, I think Danka raises a good point actually there in the chat about Mother 3.
Yeah. Danker says if they actually bring Mother 3, for example, we would need to emulate. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is kind of going along with what I'm saying. And also him mentioning the Wii U emulation. It's weird that they're coming down on older products, just like you said, Pete, that you can't go out and buy. They're not for sale anymore. So Nintendo's not actually losing money.
Yeah.
In this, So that my position is more like, of course I'm business minded first, but if you're not losing money, then who is getting hurt by this?
Yeah, agreed.
So.
And it especially comes down to, things like marketplace games, Yeah. Take the 360 for instance, when obviously their marketplace shut down not too long ago, and you had that back catalogue of arcade games that were only sellable via, the marketplace. When they shut down, all of those go, and they actually should have a right to live. So people backing that up is great for preservation. If those games were still for sale, then trying to pirate them, fine, I'd have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, I think every single one of us have all been known to play games via an emulator that you legally own.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can't stand here on our soapboxes claiming the moral high ground because we're all very guilty of doing so.
Yes, that's very true.
I mean, I'm the first to admit I want to play the hell out of Mother 3 and have played the hell out of Mother 3 because it's a great game.
Right.
But of course I've not legally ever owned it. Only up until recently I have legally owned a copy of Super Mario RPG because it wasn't available in my country.
That's true.
I now own a Japanese version of the game. Am I ever going to be able to play a Japanese version of the game? Hell no. But I own it.
Right.
So, you know, that's the point. But the fact is, it's annoying as hell. Like, they're far too heavy-handed. And actually, like, if they had something like Ryujinx, like Yuzu, but they specifically locked pirated versions of games and only allowed for people to actually play games that they legally own via a, you know, let's say a dumping method, and you have to input like a CD key basically, like you used to be able to do with the anti-piracy stuff on PC.
Right.
I actually think that would be a better way of doing things.
Right.
Until that marketplace or that system is no longer available.
Yes.
But here's my wild and speculative theory moment.
Okay.
I think there's more of a reason behind this.
Oh, do you think because of the upcoming Switch Pro or something?
And there's no such thing as a Switch Pro.
I know, whatever.
The next generation console, let's say.
Yes, that one.
Yes. And no, we haven't conferred this before you asked, but this just shows how well you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Is it very possible that the reason why this is taken down is because the interface, the architecture, and the guts of the machine, barring a few different things,
Yes.
are going to be the exact same as the Switch 1, meaning that the piracy would be absolutely rampant on the Switch 2 if this emulator was to stay open.
I mean, it's entirely possible. They have to take all that into account, and so I think that's an entirely plausible situation.
Good.
Yeah, definitely something to think about. I think
so, but yeah, it is disappointing. But hey, you know what else can we do? So Nana's asked, that might be revealed this month. I think it's due out in March. So can I mention? I'm not going to mention something. I don't know anything. Okay. I know nothing about Insider. So the original statement said that they were going to reveal it before the end of the fiscal year 2024, which would be March 31st, 2025. Doesn't mean they're going to release anything by then. It just means that the plans will come into light by then.
Right.
Is it going to be revealed this month? I don't think so. I'm going to eat my words, obviously, if it does. Because if it does get revealed, then it's emulating exactly the same as the Switch 1. And will be released by March 2025. Yeah. I actually think they're going to reveal it in March for a holiday release. October of next year. Right. They're going to want to capitalise on very strong holiday sales to start. Yeah. I also think that one of the launch games for it is going to be a huge one, and that'll be the new Pokemon game. Oh,
now see, that makes sense.
Remember, it's not Gen 10 that's coming out. It's ZA, isn't it? So it's the next Legends game.
Ah, right.
So yeah, I think that's because they did sort of reveal that it was coming out simultaneously next year. So I think simultaneously means it's Switch and Switch 2.
Right. Okay. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we carry on with Nintendo news?
Sure.
Because we're now a Nintendo podcast, clearly.
That's our new name, our new title.
No, it is not. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before that I have a real issue at times supporting SNK.
Yeah.
Because of who they're owned by.
Mm-hmm.
This might now be a problem for me.
Oh dear.
Because Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund is considering a move to increase its stake in Nintendo.
Right.
So, according to a new interview, in which the firm discussed the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund's plans for growth. Prince. Jesus Christ. I am going to apologise if I offend anyone in the Middle Eastern area of the world for the pronunciation of this name, but Prince Faisal bin Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud, the group's vice chair, said in an interview with Kyoto News that there is always opportunities for further investment. Quote, "It's important to keep the communication going so you get there in the right way. We don't want to rush into anything."
Right.
So, as of right now, the PIF, or the Public Investment Fund, originally acquired around a 5.01% stake in Nintendo in May of 2022, and as of 2024, they own 8.58% of them. So it's a very small percentage, let's say, at present.
Right.
And if you know anything about shareholding and stockholders and stuff like that, it's probably not enough to influence a board decision about the direction of the company.
I mean, yes.
But it depends on how many shares are out there and available to be purchased.
Yes. Exactly.
So if they own 8.58%, that could be 8 shares or 8 million shares. We don't know.
Right.
Now, I'm going to ask you this.
Okay.
Because you probably know a heck of a lot more about shareholding, stockholding, and stuff like that than I do.
I know a little.
Would you
I don't
say
know
that...
international law, though, apparently.
No, of course not. But would you say that this is very, very possible that they would have some sort of influence within the company with this kind of shareholding?
Oh, they'll definitely have an influence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, they would absolutely have an influence. Would they have a greater influence if they had greater shares? Of course. I mean, that's just logic. but no, it's still enough to have an influence. And that's, yeah.
So would that influence be limit them to being able to let's just say influence the decisions of games announced, games being worked on? Or would it also be the ability to remove directors, shareholders, or anything like that with that kind of stake?
They would be able to influence probably not like the content of a game or anything like that. They'd probably influence timelines, and probably could influence hiring and firing.
Okay, so you would say that they'll be able to sit in on board meetings with that stake, and be able to say, I don't agree with the direction of this company. I believe that you've not done well. I move for a vote to remove oh God, what's his name? Jesus Christ, what's the president's name of Nintendo? Yeah. It's not Kirishima. No, it's not. Oh Christ, I'm gonna have to look this up. But yeah, the ability to remove the president of Nintendo at the moment.
I don't think they would have the ability to do that, but I do think, much like in politics, they would be able to ask for the business equivalent of a not a recommendation.
Yeah.
Oh, I just blanked out on the word.
Thanks, Dana. I just found that out. So Shintaro Furukawa.
Yeah. Not referral, not recommendation. There's another word, it starts with R-E, that you do in politics, which is, you know, it's like a pre-vote to see how everyone's leaning. They could referendum. That's it.
Oh yes, of course.
They could request something that would be the business equivalent of a referendum.
So essentially, I would say I would call to move for a vote of non-committal, or a right of removal.
Yeah, it would be more like, we need to look into this person a little bit deeper. That's about what they could call. And then, of course, that can snowball and turn into that person being removed. Whereas they didn't directly do that, they just asked for a referendum.
Yeah.
Well, the business equivalent, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah.
Okay.
But there is power there, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I know a little bit about stakeholding. So, whereas, just to put it into perspective, obviously you said about 8.58%, wasn't it, of Nintendo?
Yeah.
They own 96.18% of SNK, so they have complete controlling stake.
Absolutely.
They influence the complete direction of SNK's business.
Yeah.
So it's I have nothing against the Middle East, let's say, as the people, but the where the money comes from is a little bit suspect.
Yeah.
And how they make their money is a little bit suspect. So let's put this into perspective as well, because in December of 2020, the PIF also acquired $3 billion of stock in Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard, Electronic Arts, and Take-Two.
Yep.
So there has been, obviously you wouldn't know this because you don't follow sports, especially UK sports. There has been allegations that the PIF have been using it to whitewash sports, or to, gain influence, let's say.
Yeah.
I believe it's the Etihad Group, or also owned by a bunch of Saudi princes, own Manchester City. The PIF own Newcastle United, and I think it's another Qatari company owns Paris Saint-Germain, which are a French company, or a French football team. So they're having influence throughout sport. They're also using a lot of the PIF to influence boxing as well.
Oh,
so we've recently just had the Riyadh season within London, where Anthony Joshua just boxed on their card in a major title fight and lost. But the Saudi national anthem was played at the very opening of the event itself. So the PIF and the Saudi Investment Fund are using it as a way to obviously send their money all the way across the world and influence a lot of decision elsewhere. It's not too dissimilar to how Chinese businesses have done it over the years. It's not too dissimilar to how American businesses have done it over the years.
Right.
This is just the new thing that's coming out of it, because there has been a huge amount of wealth that's come up probably within the last 20 years from Saudi Arabia, from Middle East and the Gulf states.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a worry, but let's be honest, where does most of this money come from across the world anyway? It's usually blood money of some sorts.
Yes, although that's just a theory, that is not us saying that.
No, I mean, it is a theory, but I would say the same thing about any business. Yeah. And most of it, where it comes from. I mean, Rupert Murdoch made most of his money out of lies and manipulation, and he's Australian.
There's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I might have to agree with Nana on this one. He says, I mean, I would say SNK haven't been influenced by Saudi money, at least not yet anyways, but it will likely burst soon. Well, based on the fact that SNK's output recently has been a lot more output generally than there had been over the last 10 years before that, when they could have gone bankrupt, I'd say they're having an influence.
Yeah.
King of Fighters 15 coming out not long after King of Fighters 14, and that was off the back of Samurai Showdown coming out when it hadn't had a game for a very long time, and now Fatal Fury, which hasn't had a game for a very long time. I'd say their influence is pretty massive at the moment. So, speaking of stocks and shares, because we all know that this is now a financial podcast.
There you go.
Yeah. Let's talk about
shipping forecast.
The shipping news for today is...
I love the shipping forecast. I adore it.
I haven't heard the shipping forecast in years. Jesus.
It's how I used to go to sleep when I was stuck in the hospital for 2 years.
Oh, I'm not surprised, because it's incredibly boring.
It wasn't that, it was just so soothing.
If I want it incredibly soothing, I won't listen to ASMR, because that's not soothing.
No, ASMR makes me...
I'm going to out myself here. Do you know what actually is quite soothing?
What's that, Pete?
True crime documentaries on YouTube. They are quite soothing.
Oh, goodness.
Terrible subject matter, but the people who narrate them have actually got really calming, soothing voices. It's quite nice.
A lot of people do that.
I know. It's now a worry because it's now several people at work. Oh dear.
Well, all I've done is just listen to breakup videos. So hopefully that will change into either shipping forecast or some kind of other YouTube
I
videos.
think you need to start putting the shipping forecast back on.
There you go.
Anyway, so back to the financial news and the shipping news for this week. Let's talk about Ubisoft, because it's not going to be a dull week without talking about Ubisoft.
Oh my gosh.
Christ.
Yes. I've said this for weeks. I can't help it. I had such high hopes. You can go back and listen to so many episodes this year. I had such high hopes for Ubisoft. I did. Anyway, continue on. I know it was not to be, but anyway.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of news stories relating to Ubisoft. When did this one? So this one came out on the 4th. I'm just looking at another story. Oh, that was from... Oh, I think we might have covered that one already. But let's just use this one to lead up to the point of where we're going with this. It's about building a narrative, right?
Yes.
Because Ubisoft's share price has now dropped to its lowest point in 11 years.
Oh, wow.
So at the time of writing, which was the 26th of September, the company's shares was €11.40 when the market closed on Wednesday. But it opened at €9.76.
Oh dear.
So whilst we're doing this, you can tell me how bad is that in terms of stocks? How bad?
That's a pretty big percentage loss. You don't even need me to say that. That is exactly what that is. It's a point that I would sell if it were me. Put it that way.
Okay.
That's a big percent, because really that's what matters with stocks is percentage amounts, not necessarily finite, dollars, pounds, yens. Amount is the percentage loss that you're looking at. And that's a pretty big percentage loss overnight. That's
okay. I'm going to come back to this because I've just looked something up.
Oh, interesting.
Because I'm going to read the story that came out on the 4th, which was a couple of days ago, so this is Friday as we record on Sunday. Tencent and Ubisoft. Specifically Ubisoft founders, the Guillemot family, are reportedly considering teaming up to take the company private after it lost more than half of its market value this year. So, according to Bloomberg sources, Chinese conglomerate, which already owns around 10% of Ubisoft, and Jesus Christ, this name, Guillemot brothers Limited have been speaking with advisors to explore ways to stabilise Ubisoft. So, one of the possibilities discussed would involve teaming up to take Ubisoft private, it claimed. Though talks are said to be at an early stage and there's no certainty that they will lead to action. So they're also considering other alternatives. So over the last month, and I'll get back to this in a moment with my checks, Ubisoft's share price dropped to its lowest point in nearly 11 years. The most recent dips followed Ubisoft's announcements that it delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows, the disappointing launch of Star Wars Outlaws. Earlier in September, a minority investor called on Ubisoft's management to take the company private or let it be sold to a strategic investor. Hedge fund AJ Investments published an open letter calling for strategic and structural changes at Ubisoft. It urged the board to consider taking the company private, quote, implement a comprehensive cost reduction program and optimize staffing levels to be more compatible with industry leaders, increase its focus on core IPs, and consider replacing current CEO Yves Guillemot.
Oh dear.
So Slovakia-based AJ Investments currently hold less than 1% in Ubisoft.
Right.
That's not a lot.
That's not a lot.
So, what I wanted to check, and I'm going to... This is... Welcome to the shipping forecast for this week. And today's news is Ubisoft. Over the last 6 months, Ubisoft started around April of 2024 at €20.70. Over the last day, it has... it started out today at €10.68. And it's currently risen at the time of finishing trading to €14.20.
Oh goodness. Well, I mean, that's a good percentage.
Yes, and that's after the fact that at 3:45 this afternoon, they were at €10.77, which took a significant jump to €14.07. Took a small dip and then went back up to €14.20 at around 5:20. Closing the day out at €14.20, as I said, at 5:30.
Yeah. Yes, Anana is correct. Stock is really.
I will read that in a moment. Yeah, but I'm so let's read the year to date for now.
Okay.
So. Starting out life, obviously, for the year to date, from the 2nd of January, where it started out at €23.51. It's taken a major dip, obviously, with its lowest point being €9.89 on the 26th of September. So currently, as per now, year to date, they have lost 39.6% of their stock price.
That is bad news, bears. That's not good.
And
that's not good.
If you comparison that to, let me just take a look, 27th of July, 2018, their stock price was...
Wow.
What do you think?
2018 was a very good year for gaming, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would put it at, I'm going to probably guess too high, but I'd say 45.
€45 per stock.
Yeah.
Per share.
Yeah.
You would be so far out, it would be ridiculous.
Really? Higher or lower?
Higher.
Like, the price is higher than 45?
A lot higher.
See, 2018 is one of the best years for gaming. Holy crap. So 120?
Lower than that. So it is €100.05.
Right.
At its highest point.
Surprised.
So
that was a very good year.
And also then to put that in comparison, which actually...
Yeah.
It's low... until that point, its lowest point since 2017 was actually just before the pandemic struck in 2019 in November, when it hit about 50 something cents. So during the pandemic, it hit 70, it was 71, going up as high as 78, 85 in January of 2021.
That's insane.
So still in its height, basically in the height of the COVID lockdowns for some countries, not for all. But yeah, how the tables have turned even within the last 3 years, because ever since that point in 2021, I'm just trying to get this on point there. Was it February I saw? No, January 22nd, where it was 85. It has taken a nosedive since then.
Holy crap.
And I mean a nosedive where we are currently at the moment. So is it any surprise that they're considering taking Ubisoft private again?
No, I think they're just they're desperate, and that's the only thing they know to do. Yep. I didn't realize they were that bad off. It's so weird to me. They really had so much potential starting out this year. Prince of Persia, and yeah, I know Skull and Bones
shouldn't exist,
but you can usually take a minor hit like that. And I thought for sure Outlaws. How many times did I say it? Outlaws and what is it? Shadows? It's the other one, right? Yes. I was like, oh, they're gonna be Game of the Year contenders for sure, 100%. Yep. And then now it's like, no, nope, they ain't.
No, because they haven't really got a game out there at the moment that's really gonna tear up trees and push towards the Game of the Year. No matter how many people think Star Wars Outlaws is decent.
I do like it. Is it as impactful as I thought it was going to be? No. It's an okay game. It's midline. It's middle.
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Since you played it on stream,
yes.
Have you actually gone back and revisited it?
That's a good question, Pete. And the answer to that is no.
And why is that?
Because Squirrel with the Gun exists.
And?
That's really it.
And?
I'd rather play Squirrel with a Gun.
So what you're saying is that it's not nearly compelling enough to keep your attention.
Not more than my little squirrel running around dainty in a dress.
It doesn't matter about a squirrel with a gun. That's whataboutism, let's say. But clearly the game is not nearly compelling enough to make you go, I want to come back to this.
Yeah, I will go back to it.
Eventually, yes. But it's not quite the same as, let's be honest, games have passed. Halo 3, Halo 2.
Oh, come on. It's
Left 4 Dead, things like that.
Yeah.
No, and this is going back too many years,
Yeah.
I was just more thinking of games that are your more your kind of thing, where you're like, okay, I definitely want to go back and play that again and again and again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I have all of Halo 3, all script of Halo 3 memorized, put it that way. Like, I can repeat to you the whole game, word by word.
Yeah, and how many times will you be willing to go back and go, I really want to see what was it, Kavas wants to do in this smuggling den in Tatooine?
Yes, I haven't got there yet.
Or in, what is it, Canto Bight or wherever she is?
Something like that. I mean, that's the thing though, I have to say, they did do set design and sound design so on point. The story's fine. It's fine. It's a good, okay game. It is definitely a 7 out of 10, maybe a 7.5 out of 10, and that's not a bad score. It's a good score.
I mean, unless you're IGN when it's a bad score.
Yeah, exactly. And Thanker says, why I wish Nintendo considered a purchase. They're raving Rabbids. Oh yeah, franchise is good. All the Rabbids, yeah.
There was other news obviously related to that I decided not to cover. The fact that several lead developers from the Rabbids studio have actually gone off and formed their own studio. So
yeah, I saw that.
I'm not sure that Mario plus Rabbids is coming back, which is a shame because I actually think the series is quite decent.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes. Ubisoft's TV division know how to make shows. That is true. I do agree with that. Oh my goodness, yeah.
So that's a shame. Obviously, I don't like to ever see a company fall by the wayside because
right.
especially one like Ubisoft that have got quite a legacy, especially when it comes to their Ubisoft Vivendi stuff from many years ago, because I'm old. Jesus.
Yeah.
There is an easy solution to all this, Ubisoft, and I'm going to say this slowly.
Make good games.
So that's one of them. That is one of them.
Yes.
Just focus on making a good game first and foremost. Leave some of the crap out that you've been doing before.
Yeah, I don't know where their head's at. I really don't.
Like, stop wading into freaking stupid politics online these days and stop getting involved in that. That's first and foremost. Stop catering to one side of things who are not going to play your games, and stop trying to outrage the chuds, let's say, and just make a game that people want to play and enjoy.
I mean, that to me is the bottom line,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is one easy solution to all of this. It's one simple word. One simple franchise. One thing that you have left out in the cold for far too long.
What is it?
Make a goddamn Rayman game.
Oh, goodness. People have been asking for that for years. Absolutely years.
It's so simple. The last Rayman game they made was incredible. And it sold well.
Look, Nana said the same thing.
I know. It's so simple, but yet they can't figure it out. They've got such a reliance on we have to make Assassin's Creed. We have to do stuff with The Division. We have to do stuff with live service, open world, bullcrap with season passes. Stop it and take all of that away and go back to basics.
Yeah.
Go back to what you once did before. Make great games. Make simple games that people love, people will talk about. Increase your stock again. Then you can start adding more into development costs again.
Yeah.
Strip it back. Make a budget game. Maximum profits. Look what they did with Prince of Persia. A game they probably had absolutely no faith in whatsoever, but has reviewed reasonably well. Has done okay.
I really want to play it. I haven't played it yet.
So do I, but it's not... Okay, so sadly the new Prince of Persia didn't sell well, so that's not happening.
Oh, really?
But it reviewed well enough. It reviewed decently.
Right.
Like, they spent... So, Nana brings up Sands of Time. Sands of Time remake. That game has been in far too long of active development. It has restarted development.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know that anybody wanted that.
I mean, you can...
But that's what they keep doing. They keep making games that nobody wanted.
This is the problem. You know, whilst people probably wanted a Star Wars game, fine. Make a Star Wars game. That license is expensive.
It's very expensive, yeah.
That license is very expensive, and also, I'm going to say this, I don't care what most people think.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars, under Disney, I'm not even calling it Star Wars, it's Disney Star Wars.
Yes, okay.
It's a diminished brand. It is a very diminished property that not a lot of people have a lot of faith in at the moment. So trying to release a Star Wars game in an era where people do not like much of what's output from Star Wars is going to lead to a negative adverse reaction. No matter how good the game could be. And believe you me, I even said that Star Wars Outlook looked half decent and I was considering a purchase, but then went, no, it's Star Wars, I can't. I don't I can't do Star Wars. Star Wars to me died when Lucas sold it. Yeah. It's no longer the Star Wars that we know. It is Disney Star Wars.
That is. I do agree with that.
So, yeah, look, your opinion on Star Wars can matter to whoever. Like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. So be it. But it's just... It's the law of diminishing returns. If you're going to produce franchises that people don't like, why are you bothering?
That's very true. point.
They haven't like people want a new Division game. People haven't played the Division in a long time. You know.
That is true.
People want. Danko mentioned it. Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
My God, people have been wanting a Splinter Cell game for years. The espionage genre seems to have died a death since certain creatives and auteurs decided to walk away from the genre. Yeah. There is a gap in the market and it's the perfect time to strike. But yet Ubisoft don't care about it. Because the only thing they want to do is make Assassin's Creed. And make everything an Assassin's Creed-like game. With heavy stealth, open world mechanics, more icons on the map and more crap to do. No, it's boring. It's like, if all of your games play the same, look the same, feel the same, act the same, people are bored. People will be bored. You need a variety.
That's true.
Yeah, rant over.
It's very true. Yep. Do we have any more news?
No, let's read through some of the chats that were related to this story, shall we? So
I think that's a good idea.
So, what was it? So, let's go back. So, Nana said it will probably burst. I mean, it will probably burst soon. Ubisoft is in deep doo-doo right now. I'm not saying the word he put in the chat. It's almost like hedging your bets on only Assassin's Creed and open world games isn't good, especially when you make Assassin's Creed an open world game. Also, they aren't getting rid of the president, so that's like the last line of defense. Totally agree. I stated it obviously within my words as well.
Yes.
I wasn't reading chat at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, we read that one already. The Ubisoft's TV division from Dankers know how to make good shows. Nana said bring back Rayman, and Danker said Splinter Cell, so yeah, there you go. Nana put Legends is amazing, one of the best platformers I've ever played. Totally agree. Completely unique. And the ending levels of each world are absolutely superb. There's a reason why it kept being on PS Plus, because it was a good game. It's a good game.
Yes.
Yeah, Sands of Time remake. Unless the Sands of Time remake does gangbusters, the new Prince of Persia didn't sell, so I didn't see that happening. Danker put, better yet, sell their IP to a third party. That indie Prince of Persia is actually good. So so we had a review on Rapid Reviews last week for the early access for it, the Rogue Prince of Persia. Very highly spoken about. People like it.
Yeah.
It could work. Nana put means the Sands of Time remake was going to be a small budget thing, but they were rushing that out. Clearly, yep, it looked quite rushed, based on what footage was shown. He also said, I would say if they keep doing the smaller Assassin's Creed games, like Hex is rumoured to be, make a new Rayman, make a new 3D Prince of Persia, make a new Splinter Cell, I think they could come back well. 100% agree. And it hits the nail on the head exactly what I sort of said in my rant, is that they need a variety of games, not just the same game with a different skin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all well and good having Watch Dogs, but what are you doing with Watch Dogs that's not too dissimilar to Assassin's Creed? Nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. The only thing that's different is the stealth tactics are different because the technology. Wow.
Right.
100% brilliance. Yeah, that took a marketing and creative team a lot of time to figure out.
Yeah.
You need variety in your portfolio. I'm sure you would tell that to anybody as a business person. The only way that you're really going to appeal to as many people as possible is variety.
Yeah, I mean, look at my new streaming career. I'm available on a variety of platforms, and if you stay tuned, I will tell you all of those platforms.
We're at the end of the show. Let's get to that.
Well, Pete, if we're at the end of the show, why don't we ask you where can they find you and all of your interesting and new and fabulous podcasts?
Isn't it? Nothing new. Never
No,
new
it's not,
in the
but
devil.
I
Anyway,
was just throwing words out there.
I'm fully aware of that. So, yep, you can see me here, there, everywhere, and nowhere at the same time. I run the Rapid Reviews Radio Twitter page, and I don't really do anything with it. But if you want to contact us there, you can at RR Radio Pod in various Discords, including Modern Escapism, Rapid Reviews, and several others. I don't recall what they are at the moment.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of movies, TV shows, and all that jazz and like audio stuff, good. You'll be in the right place for the Never Watchers. Because whilst we might have been languishing for the good couple of weeks, maybe a month, gave you a bit of a surprise this week where we gave you not one, but 2 episodes.
It's true.
Because I finally managed to crack the code on the June Part 2 episode and got it out and fully accepted the fact that there were going to be sound issues and just had to get on with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, June Part 2 with myself, Kurt, and Gadget from Modern Escapism, previous guest on here as well, is now out for you to listen to. I will preface it by saying there's a few unfortunate sound issues on someone's microphone. Kind of sucks because it was a very good discussion that we had about that film.
Right.
But not only that, video game related as well. It's a shorter one.
Right.
But it's an enjoyable one and probably one of the more fun episodes I've had doing the Never Watches, because 1993's classic Super Mario Brothers was one that I'm not going to reveal what was said between myself and Kurt. Please go and listen to it. It's, like I said, I think it's probably the most I've laughed on a podcast in a long time. It's entertaining. Yeah, and that's now out on most podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, all that jazz. So go and give it a listen. Some bad ones as well. Kylie, over to you for your 20-minute wrap-up about where your streams are.
Yes.
Time for your close-up.
Oh, that's right. Let's see. Got my lighting and my angles right. But yes, if you want to experience absolute insanity, I don't know why you would, but if you want to, I stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. UK time on twitch.tv/KILEY_WILDE. So those are set in stone, but sometimes I do sneaky surprise, streams. When I'm feeling a bit lonely and I need to talk to other humans, then I go and I stream. But Mondays we do Mayhem Mondays. I changed it. It's Mayhem. And then Wednesdays are Weird Wednesdays, and Fridays are Frightening Fridays. Although, because we're in the spooky ooky month of October, all the games are spooky ooky all week. Except for my possible Hitman streams on Saturdays. Which reminds me, so follow me on Twitch, please, because I want to make 50 followers. Because I got these really great ideas for you wonderful, fabulous people.
Now, 11 or 12 away, isn't it?
Yes. I think I lost somebody last week, so I'm back to
Sorry, that was me. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. No, I'm waiting for everyone to just jump ship and me be back to 1.
Great, everyone unsub and resub again.
Yeah. So I definitely want to hit 50 followers on Twitch because I have great ideas for you. Lovely, beautiful chat. My chat they uplift me. These guys are there and they just make my day every time they show up, and I just love it so much. But also follow me over on YouTube, which is where I'm getting all the freaking traction in the world. Mm-hmm. Like I said earlier, I got 20 subs in 1 week, which I know to actual YouTube veterans or whatever, that's not a lot. I've literally been doing this for 1 month. We're going on 2 months now. I hit 30k views and I got 20 subscribers this week, and for whatever reason people love my stupid dumb shorts, and I'm gonna keep making those. I'm also over on TikTok and Twitter, X, whatever. But those are automated, so I don't really look at them too much. And but definitely go follow me there if you're of the mind. But outside of that, we have a very fabulous week lined up, including RE2 remake. I think we're gonna do Outlast 2 next week, and somewhere in the mix, we're gonna throw in Alien Isolation.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah. So we want the maximum scares, maximum AAA scares that we can get. But I need to cough. I'm going to cover my mic. Anyway.
So would you say with there being AAA scares, it's scares? Yes,
scares. I'll probably use that in something.
Cool.
But anyway.
Patent pending. You can pay me now.
Yeah. I think that's... Oh, you can follow me on Instagram. Instagram's another one that I don't check. I don't look at. Sometimes I put gym photos up there, but nobody cares about that. So just like, sometimes my food goes on there. I got new Halloween decorations. You can go see those. It's not really gaming related. But yes, Danker, that's perfect. Danger's might be clashing for next 2 Saturdays. Oh, right. Okay. Right. Coughing. Ugh. But I think that's gonna do it for this episode.
Not quite yet, because I've forgotten something.
Okay.
2 things actually. So, as we are a subsidiary or not an afterthought. Jesus, that would have been terrible.
Yeah.
As a what was it you used to say about us? We are
supplement. We're a supplement.
Thank you. We are a supplement of the Rapid Reviews UK site. Yeah. Please visit rapidreviewsuk.com. 2 reviews out this week: Crow Country and Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports by Joseph Brood. So please go and check those out. The links will be in the description once this goes live. If you're listening to us, not live, obviously. Also, just going to take this moment to put out our thanks to a particular someone as well, because YouTube seems to be doing okay, because Nana has been helping us out by clipping certain parts of the show when it comes to games. So whenever we talk about either a new game, a new, an experience that we've been having, like Ghost of Tsushima, Terry, Astrobot, Star Wars Outlaws, Nana has been very kindly clipping them out and also adding some thumbnails to them to make them more distinctive and recognisable on YouTube. And we want to put out a big thanks to him for doing that. He doesn't have to, but we really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Please go and check those clips out on YouTube and Twitch as well whilst they're available. But they're forever at YouTube, so they're just little sections from the podcast if you want to get involved. And I did have some feedback from Kurt the other day saying that he checked out the Ghost of Tsushima one and strongly disagreed with me about the game itself, which was fair enough.
Oh wow, okay.
So I'm so it is making an impact, so thank you.
Very cool. Excellent.
Now we're done.
I think that's gonna wrap it up for the podcast part of this show. I don't know why I'm slipping in and out of accent. But now that leaves me to say...
You can take the girl out of Texas, but you can never take the Texas out of the girl.
Absolutely not. That leaves me to say one last thing. We will see you and talk to you next week. Bye!
Goodbye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Rapid Reviews Radio podcast. You can find the podcast on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and various other podcast platforms. You can also find the video version by searching Rapid Reviews on YouTube and watch the podcast recording live on Twitch at twitch.tv/rapidreviews at 7:30pm UK time every Sunday. Please make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at RRRadiopod, and for all the latest reviews visit www.rapidreviewsuk.com or on Twitter at RapidReviewsUK.